On time.
Oh, yeah.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Quarantine Spilling Ink. I hope you're all having a lovely Saturday evening. And if you're not watching the One World Together concert, I'm glad that you're here. We're happy to see you. Anita, I see that you're here already. We love it. Hi, Anita. And I am here tonight with a very special guest. Joshua Pantalleresco is the 5-time WWE champion of Vancouver, Calgary, and the winner of 16 Aurora Awards for Best Looking Podcaster.
That's
it's
right.
Joshua from Just
Joshua.
Joshua.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
You know what? I've honestly I've been very fortunate in this time. As we're talking about a little bit off the air, I've had an adventure ever since things started to go kind of crazy. I was in Vancouver when this started. Now I'm in Windsor, Ontario. This is my dad's store. It's kind of like
Canada.
Yes, right. I'm in Canada. Fortunately, I feel very blessed to be in Canada right now.
That was a dig right there.
I wouldn't want to play with the deck of cards you guys are playing with. We'll just leave it at that.
At all. No, totally not jealous.
Do you guys have euchre in Canada? The card game euchre?
Yes.
Okay, because that's something in Michigan we play a lot. And there's times when you get dealt a hand that's all 9s and 10s. That's the hand we've been dealt.
Yes. No, we're not Singapore where we can like go it alone. Like, yeah, I can go with this alone, right? But we, with the exception of Alberta, which is kind of its own special little brand of crazy, Canada's been relatively quiet, and that's generally the nature of the country. And it's strange. Like on a personal note, I hate masks. I hate them. I don't like the.
You hate mask?
I hate the mask. The reason I hate it is because. So the worst part for me about this whole thing, just watching from the outside looking in, it's the fear. Right, and I understand why the masks are worn. Don't get me. I'm not saying that, but I hate it because also everyone that wears one, you can see the fear in their eyes when they're wearing it. It's because it's almost like the mask is not, whether it's helpful or not or anything like that. It's armor. It makes people feel safer, and it feels like they're protecting themselves from something. And you can see it in their eyes when you're walking on the street. Like people are there's an existential bit of dread, and I hate that. I wish that it's bad enough for facing the unknown. Every little thing that emphasizes fear right now bothers me, and that to me is so. My personal mission kind of has been since I've been since this time is like I'm going to do anything and everything I can to dispel fear, because that doesn't do any of us any good. It's cool. Like I said, being scared of what might happen. I mean, it's totally an understandable thing. It's an understandable feeling. We're kind of all going into the unknown. We're kind of all in this point in our lives. Like we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But on the flip side, right? I mean, I think that's always been true, right? What's happened now is what we've considered normal for the longest time isn't there. Right. So now anything. So as how do I put this?
You got him, Anita.
Yeah, I knew. It's one of those situations where I look at this is actually how life is. There's no guarantees in life. There really is no normal. But that's really strongly emphasized right now. It's in everybody's face, whereas maybe it was more in the background before. Now you have this, like, tomorrow is going to be different than today. You don't know how, you don't know why, but tomorrow is going to be different than today. And there's no order of authority. There's no standard operating procedure going forward. And again, it's natural to be scared of that. But watch fear, people fighting with each other, people saying, well, this is how the world works, or this is how the world works, or like this is a lot of stuff I'm seeing too, which exacerbates everything. And then you watch, sometimes you watch the media, what kind of stories they're running. You're like, you're not helping. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't know the facts, but you're not helping the situation either, right? But it's what you, and so my goals have been twofold. One, try to be as positive as I can. I've been going to people. Katie's been so far one of the people did. I've gone to 5 random people every day, and I've gone how I appreciate them. It's a simple little thing I start with every day, but for each and every person I talk to, it's been great. I've been having conversations with people from all over the world, and it's been fun because it's almost like a moment a day. There was someone I contacted that was going through cancer. It's going through cancer right now, and I literally got like a big giant thank you. It's like, man, I really need to hear this right now. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And we had a great little conversation about how her life is going. This might honestly be the most rewarding thing I've ever done. And just doing this every day with different people all over the place, and it doesn't matter who you are. It's just I just like, okay, I land on you. Okay, what can I say nice about you? And I just say I appreciate you, and I'm genuine about it. And then like I started a newsletter, and I was like, I questioned whether that was the wisest thing to do at this point in time. But honestly, I didn't even release it, and I had like financial stuff come my way. I had financial stuff come my way. I did not anticipate with the newsletter. I hadn't even published it yet. I've had people come in, like this week's episode is about to go out, is I'm talking about the story about how someone tried to bribe me ironically moving them with mashed potatoes and only mashed potatoes, which is just like again, fun stuff like that. Like just the important thing right now, and I think that this is the thing I've been emphasizing a lot with my stuff. Life goes on. No matter what situation we're in, there's still a lot of good things. You can still chase joy in this time. And there's still all kinds of neat little opportunities that present themselves each and every day. So instead of worrying about what might happen tomorrow, I worry instead about, okay, what opportunities can happen today? What can I do today that will make doors open? What can I do today to be grateful? What can I be grateful? And I worry about those things because I can't control the rain. Like the whole idea of being mad, I can't control this situation. And I have no say in it. It is what it is for as ever long it is. But what I can do is I can try to be the best person I can be in this time. Encourage people to step out even now. Even if you can't go outside right now, maybe what you can do is you can write that book, draw that picture. You can talk to each other and say I love you. You can be grateful for whatever you have, right? And try to help each other now, because it doesn't matter how you think the world works. We're all in this kind of together, whether we realize this or not. So instead of fighting each other about how this is going to be or how that's, don't worry about that. Instead, okay, how can I help you today? What can I do? Even if it's something as simple as I appreciate you. And that's been my focus.
Well, tell me what you've been doing with Just Joshing lately. You said you've been busier than ever lately.
Yeah, so I started a third podcast on the week. I kind of stole a little bit of Jason's idea with it, although I did take it a step further. I had my novel, The Cloud Diver. It's going to be coming out May 1st, and it was scheduled to come out at a certain point, but it was like, okay, this is going on right now, and part of me, there's a little bit of an opportunist in me. There's a little bit of an opportunity. Like everybody's down. Like I immediately embraced the moment. I didn't. There was the 5 stages of grief. I went straight into acceptance. I skipped 1 through 4. I didn't need it. I was like, nope, I'm not denying it. Not I'm accepting it. I'm not trying to negotiate. This is what it is. What can I do? And that's what I did. So I thought,
well, Josh, let me pause you there. And I'm curious because I feel like that is. And you breeze right over that as if it's something easy and natural, but I feel like that's a talent that not very many people actually possess. This idea that you breeze through the grief and go right to being productive or looking at the positive. How do you
because I've had my ass kicked before. Because I've had my ass thoroughly kicked before. The thing about me, I actually, my first freelance article came out on copyoversuicide.com. It was called How My Personal Apocalypse Prepared Me for This Time. And so for those people that don't know, I went through a very, very difficult time in my life in Arizona. I was going through parts of starving. My teeth were shattered in lots of places and pieces. And I had to do some incredibly difficult things to survive. And I was so angry during that time, and justifiably so. And when But the thing is, looking back, I missed out on opportunities, and I didn't realize some of the things that were happening around me because I let myself be scared and angry of what might come next. But I learned all that the first time I went through major adversity. So I talked about, like, the biggest 3 lessons I learned is the world is bigger than you. This is a hard lesson for a lot of people to understand because everybody thinks like they are in control of their world. The truth of the matter is we're not. Like, no matter how big, how strong, how tough we think we are, there are a lot of things that are come out of control. Going through that point in my life when I was wondering where my next meal was coming from, when I didn't know what was going to happen to me in terms of, where I was going to live. I didn't know what was going to happen to me in terms of, like, my mortality even, right? So there was a close call. But it forced me to recognize the fact that the world is bigger than I am, and I have no control over it. And I had to accept that. So that was the first major lesson. The second major lesson I had to learn is surrender. So it's natural when big changes happen that you're afraid. That is a totally natural reaction. Being angry is a total natural reaction. The people I feel sorriest for in this time is the people that are small business people that had their, like, little shops that now are shut down and probably will never reopen again. Sad as that is to say, that is a big reality for a lot of small businesses right now. And I understand that anger. You had this goal, you had this dream, and you went for it. And honestly, through no fault of your own, it ended. Like, this is one of the biggest kicks in the dick ever, right? Because it's nasty, it's vicious, it's brutal. So I get anger, and I even get fear because, again, you're not sure what's going to happen. But I've been through all of that. So for me, it was like, okay, I've been through that adversity before. So for me, these lessons have been really helpful. And finally, I realized, okay, this is the big thing I took from last time that I'm taking with me this time. I can't control when bad things happen, but I can control how I'll be when bad things happen. I don't need to be, that doesn't mean I don't have a bad day. That doesn't mean I don't have those moments where I'm angry or frustrated or bored, or I have those moments. But then I remember what I'm going for, what I can do and who I can be. And then I've been here before. I know what this is. So I'm not saying I've been through a pandemic. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I've been through adversity. And because I've been through adversity before, right, some of those rules apply especially right now, right? They apply in the fact that, you know what, you can't change what's happening. And you shouldn't, whatever you believe is happening, whatever your interpretation of what's happening, the fact of the matter is it's happening. You live with it. That's just that there's no ifs, there's no ands, there's no buts. You have no choice. Surrender that. But if you can surrender to that truth, that you can do that, you will start seeing opportunities come their way, and you'll be rewarded for those opportunities immediately. Because now you're past the grief. You can look ahead and see what you can still offer. And everybody's got talents. Everybody's got skills. If you're an independent bookseller, right? If you're an independent bookseller, you're an independent author, you're an independent artist, you know how to put a project together from start to finish. There's a high demand for content right now. There's a high demand for people that want that optimism. And lastly, like the other thing I was thinking about when I was going along this path was C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis actually was reading, what would become Mere Christianity during World War II when London was being bombed. Talk about not being in control of your situation, right? You're literally going out to a building that may or may not be there every day you go outside. But while he's outside, he's reading this book. And I realized that it's such a powerful thing you can do, right? It's such a powerful thing you can do to make, life still goes on. And I can still do something in this time. What a way to break helplessness. And then you can inspire others on top of that to do their own thing, because now you're not crippled anymore. You're not worried about the big battle. You're worried about your battle, because that's what you can do. And everybody can do that now. And that has been my whole approach for the last 3 weeks. That's why, like I said, I go to people, I appreciate them. That's why I started the newsletter. The podcast, going back to that, like that C.S. Lewis model, I have my book that's ready to come out. So the first thing I decided to do is I'll do an audiobook of that. But it's been so fun because I'm learning so much doing it. But the other part of it too, I had this idea, and this is what I've been doing. It's like, it'd be actually really, really cool. What if I could get other authors to come on my show and read with me, or other musicians to perform with me? Yeah, we can talk.
I still owe you. I still owe you that reading.
Yeah. So I've gotten Dave Butler to agree to it. I've gotten Morgan Champion to agree to it. Monica Stone. Even my no's. My no's have been some of the nicest no's I've ever had in my life.
That's
because
good.
Because they're not coming from a bad place. One no, he legitimately said, dude, this is an amazing idea. It's just I don't do these well. It kills me, but I gotta say no. That's not a bad reason to say no, right? I had another guy come up. Hey, listen, can I preview? And then I had another author. I'm not naming because they haven't given me their copy yet. Go to me. Hey, listen, can I preview my book for next year? Sure. I had another author go to me. Hey, listen, do I have to read fiction? No, you can read whatever you want. I have my rules are 20 or 30 minutes, whatever you want. Promote yourself. That's it. It's easy. It's simple. People can do whatever they're comfortable doing. But the point is, it's a two-pronged point. One, it's my way of giving back. Let people know there's so great books by great authors and great talents out there that you can just simply, again, if you have a buck or two, help them. But if not, enjoy this for what this is. Because they're doing the same thing I'm doing now. They're letting life go on. Number one. Number two, right? What an opportunity. Okay, so Bobby Nash just read on my podcast. That's so freaking cool. Bobby Nash is not a small name. I've had first-time readers come on. So I don't know if I can just go for it. It'll be great. You'll have fun. They had a blast. One of my guests, Heather Chambers, it was funny because I was doing her interview before, like I timed it just right where her reading was with my interview with her, and there's this part in the interview that made me go, because she talked about how she always wanted to get back into the voice acting. She kills it, man. 350, she freaking kills it, and it's such a cool thing. I'm going to keep this going long after this is done. And then finally, the other part about this too is me doing all these things has also let me. I'm hosting a creative quarantine, and Anita, wait till you see the interview I do with him this week. His interview is coming up on Monday. So, but the thing about it is, right? This is just such a cool time to reach out and help everybody out, right? And I can do that. I'm in a position where I don't really have to worry about. I'm taken care of. So while I'm in this position for a reason, so I'm like, why not go for it? Get out there, help as many people as I possibly can right now, because it's the right thing to do. And then at the same token, I've watched so many opportunities come my way in the last 3 weeks that other people I think would be like, holy crap. I had a marketing company actually recruit me. Whether or not I get the job or not is beside the point. The fact is they reached out to me, right? That's a damn cool thing. I'm getting this opportunity to be on the show. This is a cool opportunity. I always enjoy you guys. It's been a long time, and I love it. I get this chance, right? And then tomorrow I get to do CyberCon with Joe Compton. I feel I'm very fortunate, but because again, that's the mentality I have. Right? I have found that doors have kept opening. I told her, I hit my freelance goal for this month in 10 days. In 10 days. I might triple it before the month's done. There's actually a chance I triple it. I'm going to double it for sure. Triple is actually in the realm of possibility. Now, what do I do next month? I don't know. But I'm not worried about that right now. I'm just worried about the little battles in front of me right now. That's it. I don't care about, I can't do those big battles right now. I don't need to do those big battles right now. And people, I think the thing people forget, and this again, and I learned this the first time. I went through first time I got my ass kicked, I had to learn this lesson the hard way, so I get it. You have to let go of the battles you don't have any stake in, even if they do impact you. You can't control the rain. You can't control the sun. You can't control the moon. You can't control. There's a lot of things you just can't control, right? So you can choose to worry about those things and let those things eat you, or you just can choose, you know what, that doesn't matter. I'm going to worry about what I can do for my kids, what I can do for my career, what I can do for whatever sphere of influence you have. If you can do that, you're doing good, right? Worry about the big stuff when the big stuff actually is, you can do something about it.
That's a really good point. I mean, even in writing, we look at it the same way. You look at an 80,000 word novel and you go, oh my God, that's a lot of words I have to write. How am I going to do that? But if you break it down and you go one chapter at a time, one scene at a time, and you just focus on what's right in front of you, it becomes easier to move forward within your story. And you're right. The same thing when you've got a lot of shit just coming down on you. What's the most important shit to take care of right now? Okay.
How do I get through today? How do I get through this hour? How do I get through this minute? And you just go, like, whatever pace you're at, you crawl through it if you have to, but you crawl. Don't worry about where you are in regards to everybody else. Who cares? Nobody else cares right now. I'll let you guys in on a little secret right now. Nobody else cares, right? Where you're, right? It's what can you do, right? That's the important thing. Don't worry about all the others. Who cares? Really? Doesn't matter. What matters is, what are you doing right now? What can you do right now? That's it.
Well, Katie, we have not heard a whole lot from you lately. What are you doing right now?
I'm
recovering from your move?
Exactly what Josh is saying. I'm picking little battles at a time, and I'm just slowly putting things back together. I don't know. A lot of people know that I was going to be moving, going through a divorce right now. So there's a lot of little things that I have to do, and the timing couldn't have been worse. So moving, just getting the house up for sale and just getting the contract in and just moving 2 separate households has been an adventure. And it's both been a positive and a negative. It's given me things to do so I don't go stir crazy, because we haven't had a chance to sit and dwell in a small space and go stir crazy, because it's been constantly setting up the house, now getting groceries for the house, now figuring out what can go to storage and what we can, what goes where. I mean, it's little things that keep me busy. Plus, like Josh, I'm doing freelance as well. That's how I pay the bills. So every day I'm going to my job boards and I'm looking to see what's on my schedule. What can I apply for? What can I do? So it's been, like he just said, small things. What can I take care of right now? And next, and next, and next. There's been no real sit down and dwell and feel sad at this point.
So I'll chime in and I'll let Jason go back here. I have a buddy of mine in Arizona. His name was Angel. He goes to me when I was going through all this hard time, because I was in school at the same time. I was working nights. I was doing this crazy shit to survive. And he looked at me, man. Sometimes, brother, all you can do is keep on keeping on. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Just keep on keeping on. And I love it. Thanks, Joe.
Jason has become the official drinking game.
But the thing is, right? It's such good advice right now. It's keep on keeping on. Don't quit. Whatever you're doing, like whatever is really important to you, just don't quit. But don't beat yourself over the head that it's not going as fast as you want it to go right now, because that ain't your fault, right? It is what it is. So, but just move forward and just move forward. Eventually, things will start to open up and doors start opening, and next thing you know, you'll be in a completely different state of mind. Like I said, I went through it the first time, so.
Well, and I'd like to counter that ceaseless optimism of the Joshua Pantalleresco with the other side of the corn, the other side of the corn where those of us who dwell in darkness live. I too have been homeless. I too have lived through some really rotten shit way back in the day, 25 years ago, whatever it was. And after I got out of it, I don't look at life the way you do. I look at it completely the opposite. I live my life terrified every day that my next decision could end me back up where I was, and I don't want to be there. So that's the other side of this coin, and I think that the key difference is called depression.
What? Okay, so I've said this off the air. I had this might all be in my head. It's in the article if you guys want to read it. I had an encounter. I had my own little encounter with a little bit of a shadow of death. And let me tell you something. It's sobering when you come face to face with whatever that is, whether it's in my own head or not. and you realize that one day you're going to die. It put everything in perspective for me in a very, very different. I made a choice. Like, look, I don't know if I like going this path, I'm going to end up back where I was. I don't think so. I think where I am now here is going to prevent that from ever going down. But that doesn't mean that hard times aren't going to happen to me again. They again, that's part of life. Everybody has their ups and everybody has their downs. But I realized that I can spend my whole life terrified of dying. And if it is what I saw at the very end, it's not what people think it is.
What did you see?
So in that case, I should just worry about living. And that's it. Like that might seem like an external optimistic point of view. I would counter. I don't really have a choice. I've seen the other side, so I just like you can choose. You can choose to. No, I shouldn't say that. I won't say that quite right away. Perception is everything, but I do think that whether we realize it or not, we have far less choices than we realize. Our only real choice is how we look at things going forward and proceed from there.
Well,
let me tag on to that point.
Absolutely right there, Josh.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Katie.
Okay, so I agree on both sides of the coin here. And
vampires. Vampires.
Yes,
sorry, I'm trying to keep our viewers engaged.
That is the answer to everything. No, so here's the thing. Optimism is great, and depression is valid. Thing is, the way I tend to look at things is I look at what's the best case scenario and I look at what's the worst case scenario. And I have both of those in my head whenever I approach something. 9 times out of 10, I get something that is not either one. I get somewhere in the middle. And when I plan for both contingencies, I tend to be able to move forward. You know, so you take that approach of, okay, here's the battle that's in front of me right now. What are the outcomes that could happen? What can I do to try and sway it for, you know, either outcome? And whatever looks like the most viable choice, I go after. And I tend to never get the best thing, and I tend to never get the worst. It's somewhere in the middle. So I'm prepared for either eventuality, but it's never as bad or it's never as good. And it's okay to acknowledge the reality.
No.
It's going to suck, and not everything's going to have a great outcome, but at least you know what the worst and best are, and you know it's not going to be either one of those. You're going to get somewhere in the middle.
Preparation's good, honestly. So
and where I've found myself, and I don't like this place, but it's become a necessary evil, is to kind of tone down the passion and the excitement that I sometimes feel for things, and learn to be not numb, but almost like when you take Xanax for the first time and you just feel dull. And that's how I've been living for the last year or two, because when I get too excited about something, and like I said, I'm not trying to be super depressing, I'm just being realistic. When I get super excited about something, it ends up fucking blowing up in my face. And it's been every time recently in the past few years. I mean, you know, personally, professionally, things have just not been great. And so I'm just like, okay, well, I'm going to turn down the passion meter. And if I don't feel as much, it's not going to hurt as much. But what sucks is that the good things also don't feel as good. But it's like, okay, well, I was at a point a couple of years ago where I was like, you know, I'm ready to literally, you know, bite the bullet and be done with all of this. And this is the only way I've found to be able to cope. And it's certainly not a healthy coping mechanism. But I will say that we are way off topic.
That's okay. That's okay.
Are we ever on topic? I mean, really.
What's the topic anyway?
Well, you know, it's you know, this. I think this whole. I think the SARS-CoV-2 has really kind of brought out the best and the worst in people. I think that this has been an amazing time for content creators like us and thousands of people around the world to put out cool stuff for people to try to help get their mind off stuff and entertain them. I think there's, you know, I've actually been able to read a couple books. I just finished Travelers by V.S. Holmes today, which was awesome. I was super impressed. And so it's like, you know, we're getting to reconnect with people maybe we haven't talked to in a long time, and enjoy each other's company, like you were saying, Joshua, enjoy some reading and enjoy the Tiger King, which hopefully, Katie, you've started now. Oh, Katie, my lord.
No, but I did start Sex Education last night.
Oh my God, that show is hilarious.
You recommended that one. I was like, oh, finally, I can watch it.
It's a little much, but it's got some really funny moments, and there's plenty of nudity if that's your jam.
I was telling Joshua before we came on that I can no longer watch the news as it is. I have to watch it filtered through late night comedy talk show hosts because it's the only way I can stomach
memes.
The things that are happening right now.
I've actually, so this isn't a dig. I promise this is not a dig.
Look, we hate our country too. Okay,
politeness. It's okay. You're allowed.
I just want to like people to understand. I watch what Trudeau says because basically that's the day-to-day update, and then I pretty much tune off the news. I realized very early on that nobody has any idea what's going on, and that's one of my favorite authors, John 12 Hawks, said this best: the news primarily sales pitch for most things is terror. It tries to make people feel like they're victims of everything.
Have you read State of Fear?
What?
Have you read State of Fear?
No, I have not.
Oh, well, we'll circle back to that when you're done.
Yeah. So, it's true. I like your country. I like your country. Yeah, your leadership's special. Yeah. Anyways, the thing is, right? I've learned that news, generally speaking, news, that's what they sell. It's not necessarily about what's factual. It's just there's a fear factor or a victimization factor. So if I want to do something, I have to research it on my own, right? Now, depending on what you read on COVID can go one of 3 or 4 different ways, depending on what you read, depending on what scientific stuff you're reading and following right now, right? I find like that's a more accurate, that paints more accurate pictures of what might be going on than anything you hear on television. So I just find that the best thing to do as far as that goes is go click, okay, right? Because there's nothing constructive that comes from it. Also, the other thing too, and this kind of like, if I really want to get a news article, all I have to do is go on my Facebook feed. People share that shit all the time. It's like, right, and I'm like, I don't really want to see that. So like I said, I'm more into I try to do stuff like recommend me a book to buy because I am buying ebooks, right? And I go to authors. Well, authors, here's the trick: if you guys are gonna come recommend me a book, you can't recommend me your own. You gotta recommend me somebody else's. And yeah, it's great. Actually, it's cool because you get this. One, I'm quietly building everybody up, and at the same time, right? I get to see some great books, and like I just interviewed Kaylin Smith for the podcast. Me interviewing her came about of one of those little experiments. So just one of those things where, again, you create opportunities and you embrace them and things happen. You know what I mean? And I just, all I do is just, like I said, I just seem to be very smart at just seeing what those opportunities are, and I just jump. And maybe I hit a clip. Maybe I'm Wile E. Coyote. I hit the ground, but maybe I get up.
I am a big believer that, in 2 things. One, luck. Luck does happen. That's a big part of success out there, guys. But 2, I'm a big believer in the power of the whole positive thinking and believing that you're gonna make it, because if anybody proves that, it's you, because you were so positive about things. You're just like, I'm just gonna grab this opportunity, and boom, you do it. And I think that's amazing. But I do want to touch on 2 things here. First, if anyone wants real factual information, scientific information about COVID-19, and you like podcasts, check out This Podcast Will Kill You. They have a 6-part series on the SARS-CoV-2, and it is phenomenal. It is factual. It's not sensationalistic at all. It will give you the facts if that's what you're interested in knowing. It is not like watching Fox News, I will tell you that. The other thing is State of Fear is a book by Michael Crichton, and the the overarching theme of the book is how the media and large organizations and political groups create this state of fear in order to control populations. And it's a really, really interesting read if you're ever interested. Now, unfortunately, the kind of the main timeline on the book is very anti-global warming, as if it's not a thing, which I don't agree with. But at the same time, the point of it is convincing the masses to believe something in order to try to control them. Absolutely. And I thought that was phenomenal. And if you like Michael Crichton, you'll love it, because his writing is, well, I mean, if you like the way he writes, you like the way he writes. But but that's another good one. It ties right into what you were saying, Josh.
No, again, there's a lot of good factual stuff out there, but I find you have to look, again, like anything else today, you have to look for it, right?
But you can go down the rabbit hole and get lost researching so much. So
well, like I said, so here's the thing, like the Cloud Diver series, I've been researching nanoviruses. All right, yes. I've actually been researching them for it, because it like the big thing about ARC is the part of me that kind of like traumatized me a little bit when this started happening is the virus I came up with in Cloud Diver 1 is actually very similar to this.
Ooh,
right? It's very similar to this. And I have another nastier. See, nanoviruses terrify me. It's one of the few things I'm actually legitimately afraid of, because the idea is, so normally speaking, viruses fight each other, right? Like normally, like the flu will fight measles and other these things, because they're each trying to do the same thing. So the idea is you create an artificial synthetic agent that will actually build a virus with both of them. Right, so that's the idea behind it. That's not the name of the book, Joe. Shit is off the tongue is not the name of that book. But the very technical term, though, I can tell. But the thing of it is, right. So I've been researching like this could have been a lot scarier than it was. Right, this could have been a lot scarier than it was. I'm not saying it's not dangerous. I'm just saying, like, some of the things I'm reading that they're working on make me go, okay, right? Yeah, because this is my deep dark. This has been my deep dark rabbit hole research for the last 2 or 3 years, and it's just like, oh, okay. But I mean, it was better that this was the thing that made us all take a step back than some of the other things I've read about, or been like, oh God.
Well, another thing. Stop it, cat. Oh, I've got to get some wireless earbuds for this crap. This is ridiculous. The other thing that really scares me, Josh, are the prion diseases, or prion, depending on how you want to pronounce it. You know, just the single misformed protein that jacks everything up, and we can't stop it. But man, there's so many terrifying things out there, just like this book I read called A Flutter of Shit. It's at the tip of my tongue. What's it called again? That was a scary book. It was scary, yeah. And it was, I thought it was scary because a lot of it had like real life components. I'm like, whoa, this shit could happen in real life.
I've got that on my TBR list right now. So the minute I get some free time, I will load that book up to my Kindle and scare the crap out of myself. I have it on my desktop. I downloaded it so that the next time I get a few moments, I can open it up and read it.
Well, I know there are probably only a few viewers right now because everyone was watching Lady Gaga. But if you're out there and watching or listening or whatever else, shoot me or the show or whoever an email or a Facebook message right now. I will send you an ebook of A Flutter of Darkness for free, just to give you something to read, because we've got at least a couple more weeks where we're stuck in the house, and that way you can have something to really make your skin crawl while you're stuck.
Here's the question: is how much time are we stuck? I mean, yes, we're all going stir crazy, but a lot of us realize that there's a reason, and we're okay with going stir crazy until it's safe. But there's a whole other group of people who are like, let's open shit up right now. And that's making it a very, big question mark hanging over every state, every city, whether or not they're going to be opening and what the risks are.
It goes back to what I said earlier about the news to some degree. No one knows. Like no one, like I think the biggest indictment, like the reason why I said the rational thing normally to do would be to listen to a world leader and go, that doesn't really apply to you guys, unfortunately. You don't have any of that stuff. So it makes this really difficult. The other thing that makes it really difficult too is there are some places where this thing is non-existent. Right? It doesn't seem like a regular part of the daily life at all. Right? Then there are other places where it's everywhere. Right? Like if you look at New York, it's like, well, right? So there's a big hit and miss of what's going on. And then you look at a country like Sweden, okay? Their approach is so unique than everybody else's. And if you look at what their numbers are, it's a lot lower. It's a lot lower than, it's not necessarily the lowest, it's not the lowest, but it's certainly not the highest either, right? So there's a lot of unknowns, right? So that's what makes this really, really tough. And exercising caution is a good idea. I think most of us would be like, you know what? Yes, this only kills like 2%, but 2% of 8 billion people is a lot of people that die.
And we are in Michigan. We are not 2%. We are almost 6% in Michigan.
Yeah,
we've got the highest death rate here. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, and which doesn't shock me considering some of the poverty levels in Michigan too. Unfortunately, I think I probably shock me if there was a correlation there. But that's what makes this tough, right? Because if you're someone that's nothing is happening, there are places where literally nothing's happening. Well, then why are we closed? And then there are other places, yes, right. And that's the other thing too, right? I haven't even mentioned that part of it yet too. Right, for a lot of people, this is a very minor thing. So you'll carry it like it's no big deal, and the next thing you know, you'll go somewhere and you wipe somebody out because you're not sure, right? That's why, like I said, California is like, fuck this shit. We're gonna lock everything down, right? Yeah. Because again, you want to minimize the loss of life. My only real concern, and again, this isn't like right now, this is if this goes for another couple months, is how long, psychologically speaking, people can handle a lockdown, right? Right, and that's a mental health thing. I don't know. I don't really know. Like this, I don't know, right? But that's another unknown, right?
And I was quarantined at home for about a month, about a month, and it was okay for the first few days. Then it started getting a little tough, but we did a lot of walking with the kids and stuff. So it actually, we got a routine, but now I'm back to work now pretty much full time. And so it's life is back to normal. However, we've got all new safety protocols at work. So it's kind of, we still feel the impact all the time because we're a veterinary clinic. So, our clients have to wait in the car. We go out there gowned up or masked up, and we get the animals, we bring them in, we treat them, we bring them back. And so we're still feeling the effects of it, but it's, we've gotten back to life for our part because we are, we're not doing human medicine, but we're doing medicine that's very important to a great many people and their animals. So it's like kind of like we have to keep going on just like everyone else. If your job is that you need to be staying at home on quarantine, then you better fucking do that because you need to do it. But if your job is working at a hospital or at a grocery store, which are extremely essential people, then you go out in there and you do that. We should damn well be grateful for those people that are, because it's tough and people are very stressed out. People are being worked beyond their limits in a lot of fields, and so I think that we all need to be respectful of that. And part of that respect is also being safe and not going out to where we can potentially pick up a pathogen that we could pass along to other people. If we're able to stay home and let other people do the essential jobs while we have to sit there and on unemployment, it's going to suck. But we need to do that to be respectful and responsible people out there. And if this thing all blows over in a couple months, God willing, then hope.
There's a big question mark, especially in Vegas where I'm at, about what they're going to do as far as opening up. They still haven't told us that schools are closed for the rest of the school year. So as of right now, we're looking at, after, April's over, the kids going back to school for however long that is, whether they close out for 2 weeks or whether they wait till April and then decide that, or wait till April is over and then decide they're closing for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
our mayor doesn't want us to stay closed, but our governor does. So there's a battle there, and our economy is based on tourism, so that really screws us over, because the majority of the people who live here are in the service industry. So a lot of people here are suffering, and opening it back up isn't going to help us if nobody can get here.
Well, nobody's going to be, and like we talked about off the air, like as far as the travel goes, like, okay, what's gonna end up happening is, okay, we're gonna open up locally first. We're gonna make sure it just doesn't have a rehash somewhere. Hopefully, testing's available. I'm marking. Yeah, that's a question mark.
Testing for a fee. They were floating something about $179 for if you would like to get yourself tested. Well, that's well and good, but people who aren't working aren't going to have the money for that.
So we're going to say question mark for you guys. Us, we developed, right? We developed a company here developed a little thing that actually is a universal test, and I know they're trying them out here in Canada. If it works the way they envision it works, we're going to have regular testing everywhere. So when we
won't be able to get that because Trump doesn't own stock in that company, probably.
Yeah. Well,
we can't get it.
Okay, so what happened here is probably what will happen here eventually is, like, BC is going to look like British Columbia is going to start relaxing restrictions in mid-May. And if that goes well, they're going to gradually open the province up. There's not going to be a lot of inter-travel, even between provinces, probably the summer, right? If all goes well, probably the fall. If there's not a second wave, if there's not, like no one knows for sure what that will look like with this at all. So if it happens, when it happens, how it's going to look. So that there's all these other factors. So everything's going to be a gradual opening up process. There's not going to be travel as we know it probably at the very earliest October, maybe. And when international, well, forget it, because like I said off the air, unfortunately, Singapore is probably going to be great the whole time through this, right? Just based on how they've handled it. So we might be able to open up travel to Singapore, but once one door opens, exactly. I'm going to be sad too. I don't know I don't know, right? Well, I mean, it's an honest question. But the thing about it is, right? Restrictions are going to be open. International travel is probably going to be one of the last things that opens up. Large part just based on how the United States recovered, right? Yeah. So exactly, that's a big part of it. But like I said, if the numbers maintain at below a certain level, right, travel locally will expand, but travel internationally, globally, we're probably looking at 2021 at the earliest, right, before things really, and we're talking like spring 2021 at the earliest, probably more like summer 2021 at the earliest, when things are really, really going to start to open up again, and that's reality. So, you look at that and you go, well, I mean, Las Vegas, Alaska, Hawaii, like anywhere that's a major tourist attraction, out of luck. And Florida, yeah. So do you really want to talk about professional wrestling for 5 seconds?
The single stupidest thing I've ever heard. Sorry. No.
Jesus. Here's the funny thing. In Japan, the Japanese wrestling organizations actually argued that they should be the last things to open up. And what they actually went to bat for was for their independent wrestlers not in their companies to get paid. Talk about a good way of doing business, right? Right? Over here, yeah. So.
Well, now it's as much as I keep trying to pull us away from COVID-19, we keep coming back. But I do actually want to talk about some book stuff.
Okay.
Because we've only got about 10 minutes left, and I know that you've got a new release that's coming up. and I was hoping that you could talk to us about your new book a little bit, Josh.
Damn, that was a fast hour.
Right, yeah. So I had this. So I'll tell you actually how the book came about, because it's actually pretty funny. So I was joining. So Calgary has a writing group called IFWA, the internet, and I went there for my first meeting, and I go to them for the second meeting. You want to read something? Yeah, sure. I hadn't wrote it yet, so I was just. They were like, you gotta send something to us to write. So I wrote something really quick, and it was this really funny story about this guy in like this Matrix meets Indiana Jones environment, right? Where he follows a girl with a gunblade into this place, and he gets a file that everybody from zombie mobsters to unicorns to fart rainbows wants. It is like the craziest. I crammed so much Easter eggs in there. If you're a video game nerd, there's so many little things I actually incorporated into it that I had a lot of fun with. And the plot's really simple. It's actually, it's again, cowardly character with a daemon in his head, follows girl with gunblade into cloud, gets a file that has to do with a virus that's going on right now that everybody from zombie monsters and unicorns apart rainbows wants, and his only salvation is that girl with the gunblade, who probably doesn't like him very much. And it's a fun little pulp sci-fi adventure. My character is such a coward. He is such a cowardly little shit. I had so much fun writing him. Because he's so he's like I want nice and normal, and I hate this adventure thing, and I threw I could put him in some of the silliest situations in life, and it was glorious. I had such fun writing it. It took a little while to get it out. I found a buddy of mine who is a really talented designer named Lance Bond. He goes, dude, I would love to do something with this. So he did. It took a little while, but we got it all together, and I was going to do a physical launch, but obviously with everything going on right now, that's not exactly possible. So I'm doing a digital one. So I started as an audiobook. So every Sunday, if you want, I read a piece of The Cloud Diver to the audience every Sunday. It's about it goes anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. I just did my favorite chapter actually from the early stuff. The villain of the story is based off another author friend. Was originally the template of it was built off of an author friend of mine named Adam Dries.
I was going to say Joe Compton.
Yes. Well, Joe knows Adam, so I mean he'll know what I'm talking about. Adam is one of the most charismatic, nicest, sincere, sweetest guys you'll ever know. I saw him once wear this wizard costume. It's I thought he looked like a villain. They did a tweet about Mr. Biggles. Was like, okay, dude, can I base a character off you? He became something else, but I based the character. What if I took a charismatic figure and used his evil salesmanship powers for evil? So he's a mobster / salesman, right? So I had a lot of fun with that. And so, it's The Matrix meets Indiana Jones is basically my pitch. So if you like something that feels a little bit like Sword Art Online, if you like something that feels like The Matrix, you like that little bit of an Indiana Jones flavor, because the concept is. We live in an age today where everything's recorded, and I mean everything. So the fact that this conversation is recorded is that it's always going to be there somewhere for everybody to listen to. We could suspect that Tutankhamun was a dick based on the pieces of the story we have of him, but we don't actually know if that's the case.
I just watched an interesting documentary on him too.
Pardon?
I just watched an interesting documentary on him too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a cool character in history too. Mm-hmm. But we don't, again, every historical character up until this time, we only have pieces of their story. Everybody today now has a story. We have it from our 20s or our 30s. But every generation that's come up has been recorded from birth. We get the whole story of every single person that walks the planet from this point onward. That is, we've never had that ever. So I'm like, what are people going to, when people look back on our time, how are they going to view us? Because unlike any other point in history, we have a complete picture. And I thought that's a really fascinating thing about today. Everything's recorded. Everything everything's out there. And how would the future judge individuals, societies, and even going forward, because the narrative now goes from our time onward. As long as we have a digital age, everything is going to be recorded as is. That's interesting, I think.
Mm-hmm. I've also one of my coworkers is a psychology major, Alyssa, and she is incidentally the one who sang the Teddy Bear Picnic song for my my book trailer. She's got
That's cool.
gorgeous, haunting, creepy voice. But I was just recently talking to her about the idea of a sociopath. Now, when we hear the word sociopath, we think of bad. Which is natural, and you think of people like Ted Bundy, who was really a perfect sociopath. But I was wondering, because this isn't something that someone chooses to be. People don't choose to be a sociopath.
Mm-hmm.
It's an unfortunate mental disorder and or personality disorder. And so I was thinking of, what if someone really wasn't a bad person, but they were a sociopath? And what if their entire life they're trying to prove to themselves and to everyone else that they're actually a good person, but they're fighting against this biological thing that's in their brains that's trying to pull them the other direction? Is it possible to have a good sociopath? Would they be capable of good on such a grand scale that most of us would never attain? Or would it'd be a constant battle of, okay, I almost murdered someone today, but I decided to buy groceries instead. So I've been looking at that idea of playing with a character that's extremely conflicted and tormented. And then I was thinking, have either of you guys seen that show You on Netflix?
No.
Y-O-U?
I'm not cool enough for Netflix, dude. I legit don't have it. Yeah, I know. Shocking, isn't it?
My God, people. Okay, so Josh, you can't enjoy this. Katie, you need to watch the Netflix show Y-O-U. You. It is, you will just shit your pants. The writing is unbelievable. You will absolutely fall in love with it.
I don't, just for the record, I don't, the reason that it's why I don't play MMOs. It's why I'm one of those people that really, when they get into something, they really get into something.
You've talked to me about this before. I remember that.
Yeah. So for me, I had Netflix. The show that did me in was Kill la Kill. When I watched that all in one night, it's not that good a show. I just drove through it.
You were locked in, baby.
Yeah, I was locked in, right? So I just realized this is not healthy for me. This is not healthy for me to get anything done. Daredevil's one thing. The first season of Daredevil was awesome. Okay, I can understand getting sucked into that for one night.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Kill la Kill is necessarily a bad show, but I am saying, however, it's not that good a show that you should be sucked in every single episode, right? So I just decided, like Emma, so I decided that I wasn't going to be I can't do MMOs. World of Warcraft is never going to be in my future. And I can't do Netflix because I do not have the self-control to handle Netflix.
You told me that before, and I can understand that, because I get it. I get it. There was, when I was a lot younger, if I'd start reading a book series, I'd be gone for weeks, and I'd be completely oblivious to life. But oh yeah, and Joe mentioned Ozark. We've just started that one. That's another really intense show. But
if you like documentaries or dramatized documentaries on Netflix, check out The Rise of the Ottoman Empire.
Ooh,
I heard that.
Surprisingly good, and I binged that in a day.
Another good one on Netflix is Roman Empire. I think it's just
called
Roman.
Yes,
that was
I've seen that one. It's really good. It's really good.
I think they have one about the czars as well, which is on my list when I get around to it.
Now, before we run out of time, which is very shortly here, I have a question for you both, and you have to answer, and it's only one answer. So we want to know, who is the sexiest vampire of all time? I'm going to go ahead and say Brad Pitt from Interview with the Vampire, because he was pretty hot in that movie. He was pretty. He still had his long hair. He looked pretty good. I'm going to say Brad Pitt. That's mine.
Yes.
But Josh is like Mobius.
No. No. I don't know her name. She did. I thought she was cute. She was in The Blade. I can't remember her name though to save my fucking life.
Blade. And she was a vampire?
Yeah, she's a vampire in Blade. I can't remember which one. I can't remember her name. I just cannot remember her name.
Okay, unknown female vampire from
unknown
Blade
female
trilogy.
vampire.
I'm going to have to go with the Spanish influence and Antonio Banderas as Armand.
Oh, damn. Hell yeah.
Dang.
From Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah.
He definitely, you know,
oh yeah, he had it rocking. Oh, and Kendra says Damon Salvatore. All right, that's
you know, for me, it's the accents though. It's the accent that really does me in. So that's why he gets like.
Hey, listen, it's what works for you, right? So.
Antonio Banderas could say anything to me and be like, okay. Well, on that note, guys, it's time to go. It's time to go upstairs and watch more Netflix. I'm sure that I think we're doing Naked and Afraid tonight on Hulu, which is always fun. So we thank you for joining us tonight. We hope we brought you. That's a little cattail on my face. We hope we brought you a little bit of entertainment or enrichment tonight on quarantine, and you'll see us again soon. It's either going to be next week or sometime in the middle of the week if somebody decides to go crazy and throw something up, like maybe Katie does a reading from her new series. I don't know. Could happen.
Or I invite random people on for a late night drunk chat. Which has happened before and is always entertaining.
Oh man, last time I saw one of those I ended up on screen with no shirt on, so that was not a good idea. I gotta stay in bed.
Says you, but our ratings are the best on that show.
Right.
Well, all right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Josh, for coming on. We love talking to you, man.
Yeah, no, it was my pleasure, man. It was great to be back. So.
And thank you, Creative Edge Publicity, for sponsoring the show and making it possible. Oh, we didn't read the sponsor script at the beginning, Katie. Wait, hang on. I don't have it up here. Wait, Creative Edge, your brand, your future, working towards partnerships and collaborations in the ever-changing literary field. It's something like that.
Close
basically, Creative Edge publicists, they make it so we can have this video. They make it so we can have the podcast. We love you guys. Thank you. And that's it. Let's go watch Lady Gaga, everybody.